This was our first house and our first renovation project.
Did you have a flood down here?
When you step on the laminate flooring, you could actually see the water coming back into the drain.
He laid it too tight. He didn't give it any room. Well, as we pull up the membrane here, we see that they use self-leveling cement. He went over top of paint. It's not going to bond to it.
Concrete over here is so deteriorated. I think the water just got in underneath the floor after you poured it.
We probably have a foundation problem. It's pretty well doubled the job for a simple floor. Mike Holmes, did they actually do this right?
No, they didn't. Outliers. Doing a good job. Keep you in shape. Okay, contractor.
God, I love my job.
About 12 months ago, we purchased the house. We really love this house because it was close to my daughter's school, and it had a double-car garage, and it was in a price range that we could afford. We started renovations, and they worked on the house for approximately a month. After that, we moved into the house. We wanted to renovate the basement because the previous owners had gutted the basement right down to the brick, left the old frame hanging, but it was a bit rotting.
Hello, Julia.
Hi, Mike.
How are you?
Good, welcome.
Nice to meet you, thank you.
And we wanted to redo the basement so that we could have a large family room and a place where children could play.
I hear you have a problem in the basement with some wood.
Yep. We have hardwood floors throughout the house, so we thought as a good match, we would choose laminate flooring. Since it's been renovated, we haven't been able to use the basement, so it's really disappointing because we put a lot of money into this project and it's useless. It's just sitting empty. The first month after we completed the renovation, we had guests over and they noticed that the floor was a little bit bumpy in the springtime, and as the weather turned warmer, it really started to buckle. And it started in the hallway and then it just spread.
Did you have a flood down here?
Well, we have a problem with this particular drain. Unbeknownst to all of us, one of the drains did back up some water during heavy rainfalls. When we noticed it, it's a puddle, but when you step on the laminate flooring, you could actually see the water coming back into the drain.
So we don't
know.
squishing.
That's right. We don't know how great an area it's covered.
Let's look at wood floors. They expand and contract due to the temperature in the room, the humidity, and moisture, water. So they started to expand. All the doors wouldn't open. We had humps all across the floor everywhere. Obviously, a problem.
It looks to me like he has it very tightly installed, and it has no room to breathe or for it to play. Actually, I mean, that's just poor. And he's got it into the bathroom.
That's right. We've got mold coming through the drywall, and we had black mold all along the walls.
We do have a minor leak over there in the wall, don't we? But that's something we can look at. I never would have put laminate into a bathroom.
You want to keep the moisture away from the wood. You want to keep any water away from the wood. But he didn't do that. He just decided to lay laminate flooring right on the concrete throughout the whole basement.
We did choose the laminate.
And what did he say when you said you would like it to go into the bathroom? I'm curious.
He didn't say anything.
Well, that's a big mistake right there. He should have talked you out of it because we can see in the bathroom already, it's the same as the other room over there. The floor has obviously gotten wet.
A laminate floor, really anybody can install. There are directions on how to install it. Read them. It's not that hard. You know, obviously this guy didn't read them. He just assumed. He assumed that he could lay it throughout the whole basement without a subfloor. And I'm sure in the installation instructions, it tells you you'll need a subfloor in the basement.
We didn't know about the problems with the moisture and the dampness, that laminate would actually react that way, would buckle, and so I don't think we would have gone with laminate.
How do you feel about carpet?
It's fine as long as it doesn't get too wet. What are your thoughts?
Personally, I like carpet. We do a subfloor underneath the carpet. If it ever did a massive flood, it's an easy replacement. It's just pull up the carpet and put down new carpet. In this case, you not only ruin the floor, but you go through really hell pulling this up and doing it again. So I would recommend maybe in the bigger room over there, I would put in maybe a ceramic tile with an in-floor heating.
That sounds great.
Same as the bathroom, I do the same thing. And the laundry room is a definite, so I would recommend that as well.
Okay.
We're gonna pull this all up. We're gonna pull your toilet, your sink, your baseboards, your 3/4 round, your washer and dryer, and we're gonna do a dimpled floor in here with a 3/4 inch plywood on top, screwed down, so I'll show you where we get the breathing ability underneath it. The warmth of the carpet now is we pulled it up off the concrete. And a nice tile in that other room. I think that would look really nice.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Thanks a lot, Mike.
All right, we'll bring you back and we'll take a look at it when we're done. Okay, got pry bars.
Yeah, we got a few pry bars.
Okay, let's just start by pulling up the 3/4 round. We'll get an area by the drain to start us off. So if you can start just pulling up the laminate by the drain there, just start ripping it up. It's a shame, I really hate to throw this in the garbage, but it's been already disturbed by all the moisture. It's all garbage. One reason we see why this floor has been buckling is because he laid it too tight. He didn't give it any room. You're not supposed to be right tight against the wall. He gave it no room to contract and expand. So it's going to lift the floor in the middle. You can see the floor right here. See how it's buckling right up here? It's because he's, it's about 40 feet of run that he has, which gives it no room to expand out. It's held tight against the wall here, tight against the wall there with no room to expand. But it's not anything to do with the product, it has everything to do with the installation itself. The rubber membrane is supposed to keep the laminate away from the concrete floor. It looks like they did some repairs in here too, but you can see all the water that's underneath it. Problem is if you're gonna put this in a basement, you wanna make sure you don't have a water issue because that's what this wood doesn't like is water. Well, as we pull up the membrane here, we see that they use self-leveling cement right across here and tied into the old floor. Actually, they left up a lot of crap here too. Oh, that just shows that the water got underneath it. Look at that. That's a pain in the rear with no bonding material. Okay, so here we have self-leveling cement. Look what he went over top of. He went over top of paint. It's not gonna bond to it. Now this is beautiful. I gotta pull all this up. Just beautiful. It's not doing anything. After I pull up all this garbage flooring now, after I pull up all this cement that he's laid down here, then I gotta come in with a grinder and I gotta grind all the paint off the concrete so we can now level the floor before we tile. I would say it's pretty well doubled the job for a simple floor. This sucks. I had Sean open this up, and this makes me sick. What we're seeing here, this is a 2x4, okay? This is all mold. We see the old wall underneath, and all they did was drywall over it. I now have to gut this whole bathroom to remove the mold, to stud it properly. This job is just completely pissed me off. But now that I'm here, I have to fix it. And man, do we have a lot of work to do.
Okay, Mike, the concrete over here is so deteriorated. I think this may be where the problem was coming from. And the water just got in underneath the floor after you poured it.
You may have a point, which would tell us we probably have a foundation problem.
Comes down right into the ground right there.
I knew it.
That's exactly what the problem is.
This is why it's not a wise idea to have a downspout go in against your foundation. Obviously, we're showing water on the corner there. We'll have to have this diverted right away. We have issues galore here. The downspouts from the outside at all locations are leaking into the basement. Man, you don't want it going into your weeping system. You want it away from your home. At this point, I have no choice. We're stopping the job. We are going to be waiting until we know about the water, number one. Every time I think it's gonna be simple, okay? Every time I think we're not gonna have an issue here, I go and I pull up the laminate, and what do I see? This has just turned into a huge, huge job. I called in a couple of guys to pull in the downspouts and have them removed to out on the property. This is what I want to see. I don't want to see them going into the weeping tile, especially on an old home. So this has been all done. It rained like crazy last night. We have no water on the inside, number one. We're going to be doing 3 treatments here in this basement, really. In the main room, we're going to be putting down electric heat in the floor, membrane on top of that with ceramic tile. In this room, we're going to be doing a subfloor. It's a dimpled product that gives us drainage underneath as well as breathing ability to help this floor breathe, and carpet over top of 3/4 inch plywood. Ceramic tile in the bathroom, ceramic tile in the laundry room, which should have been done in the first place instead of using any type of wood product right over a concrete floor. I totally don't like that. Unfortunately here, we have a lot of break in the floor, and you can hear the hollowness. We're gonna have to break up this area and re-cement this. I'm just not gonna cover this up. Let's pull the sink, pull the toilet. I think we'll take off the medicine cabinet. We'll do a mid-wall cut first to see what is in here. Let's also open up the box here. This is just a very, very thin concrete floor, and I mean, I wouldn't put anything on top of this. Let's pull it all up. Start jackhammering. Okay, Thanks, Sean. Oh, look at the mold behind the baseboard. Brand new. Look at the mold on this. Brand new. This is an old lead drain, and they did the lead so it was easy to get them bends, and usually you'd see it underneath the toilet in an older home and not so much here, but I'm learning to see everything. Well, I'm going to really guess at this point that it's coming from this corner, and we're going to see a lot more when we open this bulkhead. It appears to be blacker on the right than it is on the left, which is just wicking right through the wood. Oh, jeez. Again, we put down a subfloor, cement, right over paint. Look at how it just didn't hold. Nothing is bonding. Look at this pad. Not a damn thing is bonding. And what bugs me is I see compound is just plaster for your drywall. It's not for concrete. Like, what do they think they're doing with this? You can just see. It's right on dirt. No 3/4 crush underneath. It looks like it, but this is all the concrete that's been broken up. It's actually deteriorated over the years. And for me to put all this money down on top of the floor like this, I can't guarantee it, so we'll go new. This is why it's important if you're gonna do a bathroom, especially in an old place, you got it, okay? This is old strapping, old 2x4s that we see. Again, the old lead drain. Now look at the old strapping. It is nailed right into the drain line. Every time they use the sink, we have water dripping down here, which has molded all the wood across here. We're not leaking from the copper pipes, we're leaking from the drain. Because they didn't take it down, they decided to drywall over top of old. Everything should be fine, right? Well, it's not. Well, I'm honestly thinking we have a nice thick floor here and we have a nice dry underneath. I'm only thinking about replacing this area now, not the whole floor. Over here was an issue with the downspouts. That's no longer. The floor was so thin and it dropped heavily on this side. So rather than trying to level that again, I think we are going to stop it right here and we'll just do all new from this point. Look at that. Oh boy, that's bad. I'll get my mask. Yeah, look at this. It's just fungus galore growing on it. But we don't even want to know what's in that. All we do want to know is this gotta go. Let's say this is mites, the white stuff. This is probably mites. The mites will feed off the mold. The mites die. The mold then feeds off the mites, and it's a continuous cycle. I'm not a mold expert. All I do know is we don't like it.
We're just gonna rake this up. The last little bit, we got it about 6 inches down. Next day is 3-4 inches of crushed stone and the rest concrete. We'll have to pump it in through the window.
This is just a very, very thin concrete floor. I can't guarantee it, so we'll go now. We're using a regular mixed concrete here. They've added a little bit of Super P to liquefy it to make it easy for us to trowel it. Super P is a chemical, and what it does is instead of adding water, which breaks down the concrete, they add a chemical product that really just smooths it right out. Whoa, I think we're gonna need a shower after this one. This actually tastes very good. Gotta learn to keep my mouth shut. Literally. Now this will take 24 hours. You can walk on it. It takes approximately 28 days for it to fully cure, but you can walk on it the next day. Imagine that would come in just to fix the floor. We end up fixing their bathroom and fixing every floor. We're going to restud this because everything else was molded. We're going to reroute the plumbing, the vent pipe. We'll drywall it up, plaster it, and put it back together again. That's it. Okay, so we're putting carpet down in this room and we're going to use the A carton and we have to overlap. We're going to start on the outside walls with the edges here and this is where the overlap goes.
Okay.
So we want 6 inches. What this does is just gives us the drainage underneath we want as well as the breathability. In the old days, they would just put down 2x4 strapping across the floor, 2x2, 2x3. plywood right over top of that, and that brings up the floor quite a bit. So we have 5/8 plywood, tongue and groove, on top of a 3/8 subfloor. It brings us up 1 inch total, and that's a lot better. Anytime you lay any wood product on a floor, it contracts and expands due to the moisture in the air, the temperature of the room. We're leaving it a little bit away from the wall. With carpet over top, you would never know it. It was a problem with the other guy when he laid down all this laminate. It was too tight. He didn't give it any room to breathe. Very important. We probably have about another hour to get the in-floor heating down. Just to thin set this down, throw on the blanket, and away we go. You have to be gentle with it, of course. We don't want to damage any of the wiring at all. We're using a grout float here. Both of them have a grout float in their hands, and that's for applying grout to the ceramic tile. We don't want to use a trowel on this. We do not want to damage the wires, so it has a nice rubber backing on them, and it just spreads out that thin set underneath it. And again, something else that I like, you know, we lay this down, boom. Thin set it again and put down the subfloor. Thin set it again and put down the tile. We don't have to wait. We're gonna bring all the wires across the floor. They come out at this point, pull wires off the other pad, which will come through, and we'll lay that underneath the subfloor.
By heating the floor, you're gonna actually probably save some power because you won't have to heat the room as warmly because the room will feel warm because it's warm underneath your feet. And that's it, we're done.
This is a great new subfloor on the market. Again, here, we just put this down, we thin sit on top of it, we start tiling. What Don's doing here is he gets a scratch pad first to fill the void. He's gonna do a 1/2-inch notch trowel on top, and he really does build it up. It gives him the ability to take the tile, move it into place, which creates a suction grab underneath the tile, and then he'll move it to exactly where he wants to see it. You notice that we do not use spacers on tiles because no tile is true to each other. They're always off a 1/16 of an inch, an 1/8 of an inch. So we do it by eye. And there's nothing better than an eye that can handle this, and he's got the eye. When the carpet comes in, they're gonna put tackless down. They're gonna do it in 12-foot rolls, and they're gonna piece it and seam it together.
Oh my goodness, look at this!
We have the baseboard a 1/2 inch off the floor. Very important. Now, when the carpet comes in, they're going to put tackless down around the perimeter, about 1 inch away from the baseboard. The tackless grips the carpet. Once they kick it and pull it over the tackless, it holds it nice and tight and keeps it from crumpling up in the center. Sebastian's just putting down the underlay here. For the basement, this is a good product to use simply because what they've done here is laminated a film on top of the underlay. The idea is to help stop the moisture from coming through, even if there is water underneath this egg carton, which will eliminate, it'll dry, but any way we can add more, let's do it. The secret to good carpeting is really a sharp knife and good knees. This room is over 12 feet. Our rolls come in 12 feet. It would be ridiculous to think that you could make huge amounts of carpet for one area. It's just not efficient. So we're gonna do it in 12-foot rolls, and they're gonna piece it and seam it together. The trick is to seam it so you can't see it. They come in with a wax strip. It's a now roll tape, lay it down and just heat it up, and it just bonds it right in.
We try to get every seam invisible, but unfortunately not all carpets will seam invisibly, but we do our best. It's one of the most important parts of the job. What Sebastian's doing at the back end is he's tractoring it up, make sure all the pile comes up, and he'll cut off any extra pieces of pile with napping shears.
We're just finishing off the trim. We'll get the washer and dryer installed, the toilet and sink installed, clean up, and get out of here. Now you finally get to come down and see it.
Oh, it's so cushiony. Oh my goodness, look at this! Look at this room. Wow! Wow, look at this room, it's gorgeous.
When we had pulled up the other floor, we found a very bad area in the back there. Well, we pulled that all up and poured some new cement down. And then we put down the new heat system, the in-floor heating, and over top of that we had a subfloor with the tile, so again it's watertight. We lost the drain because we really didn't need it here. So at a touch of a control, you're gonna warm your feet up in the next few days.
Oh, wow, look at this tile. Oh, this is gorgeous. Oh, it looks beautiful.
Now the bathroom.
Wow.
You definitely know in the bathroom that we had pretty well half-gutted it. You get rid of that mold that the other guy just decided to cover up. And we gave you the marble you wanted.
Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful. The towels are so beautiful.
Well, it's good to know that when I leave here, not only is it watertight, mold-free, gorgeous, but now the family can get back down there and make use of it what they should have had in the first place 1 year ago.
Oh my goodness!
You like that?
Look at that!
Now that's a little different, eh?
Wow. Wow, I must have the nicest laundry room. This is beautiful.
Well, that floor, obviously we took it all up. We also put down the subfloor, and then we put down a membrane, which makes this room completely watertight. Actually looks roomy now, doesn't it?
It's beautiful. We can actually use this room now. So it's really great.
Well, we made you a little box. Just that I didn't like seeing it. It was just not good. So here we go. We have a little top that comes on and off.
Oh,
Get
that's
to your
great.
water, locks in place. Little cabinet for your gas meter.
Oh, wow.
I tell you, you can bring your daughter down and play now. For the 41 grand, that's what she should have got. And she looked very happy. I guess that's why we do this. It's worth it. I always say you're only as good as the people around you. And I've got one hell of a good crew that cares. They all care. Simple as that.
Improper installation of the laminate flooring is just tip of the iceberg. You know, I can't believe what a difference this basement. It's a whole new room. It's a whole new basement. Thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Most people out there have no idea what they need. They have an idea what they want, but not what they need. And that's supposed to be our job. Our job is to teach them, to educate them. Let's, use these products. This is what you should be looking for. Well, instead of that, why don't we do this? When you have guys that don't have that talent, and it's usually because they really don't care, we're gonna see this every time.
Great job, Binge. Great job, Don. See you tomorrow.